The history of boxing has many examples of judges who have not made the most honest and correct decisions. As with many other sports, and indeed in different areas of human activity, bias and corruption take place. This phenomenon can be criticized, but perhaps it will never be possible to get rid of it once and for all. No one is immune from judicial whims. In this video, we will recall not all, but some of the most high-profile and resonant judicial robberies in boxing history. In October 1991, Elijah Tillery met the scandalous Riddick Bowe in the ring. Tillery's record was 23-4, Bowe's 26-0. However, Tillery was not the focus of this fight. It was organized to show Riddick's exceptional talents and move him closer to the world title. Not to mention, winning him the vacant WBC heavyweight title, which for some reason was at stake in this match.
Tillery, a boxer, late fighter, has a sparring knockout on Tucker. There's that right there. There goes on Tillery. Bowe feels once Tillery is tagged, he will run and he will hold on. Bowe trying to do some...
Towards the end of the round, which lasted longer than 3 minutes, Bowe dropped Tiller to the floor with a flurry of punches, ending it with a left hook. After Tillery got up, Bowe struck him a few more blows before the gong was finally hit. Tillery went up to Bowe and began to tease him, and he was answered with a short jab, in which Elijah in turn answered with a couple of punches of his own, to the groin and lower leg. Then a scuffle began.
Tillery does a 360, a spill out of the ring.
Tillery was disqualified, to the great displeasure of the crowd and the surprise of the commentators. The boxers met again a few months later, and this time Bowe cleanly defeated Tillery with a knockout in Atlantic City. In October 2008, in Canada, a duel was held between the unbeaten IBF super middleweight champion, Romanian Lucian Bute, with a record of 25-0, and Mexican Librado Andrade, with a record of 27-2. Bute looked better during the fight, and in the 10th round he was able to knock down Andrade.
Looked like a push, didn't it, Steve? Yes. This one there, finishing good time, let's watch.
There were more than 10 seconds remaining until the end of the fight, but this did not stop referee Marlon Wright from extending the count to the final gong for Bute, who was in a heavy knockdown.
Could be over if he doesn't keep the count. You can't be saved by the bell.
The formal reason for stretching of time in the ring was the fact that Andrade allegedly left the neutral corner during the countdown. According to all 3 side judges, victory in this meeting went to Lucian Bute. In the summer of 2010, a duel was held between the IBO World Heavyweight Champion Danny Green and challenger Paul Briggs. The fight ended in an unexpected way for everyone 29 seconds after the start of the first round. During a special investigation, it was found that Paul Briggs had serious health problems, but kept silent about them during a medical examination. Because of this, Briggs was fined $75,000. In the summer of 1988, a duel took place between the WBA World Welterweight Champion Thomas Molinarius and challenger Marlon Starling. At the end of the 6th round, the boxers exchanged punches, and when the gong rang to end the round, they continued to strike, and Molinarius managed to inflict a devastating right swing. Starling fell, and referee Joe Cortez counted a knockout. The Starling team filed a protest, and the New Jersey Commission changed the result. The battle was declared invalid. The WBA chose to keep Thomas Molinarius as champion, but the Colombian suffered from depression and was forced to release the title a few months later. In December 2006, a regular battle took place between Darren Barker and Paul Samuels. The fight began very actively. The fighters exchanged good blows. But in the middle of the round, Paul Samuels crossed the opponent and almost falls. The judges try to stop the fighters, but suddenly Barker punches his attacker with a fast, powerful jab, and he falls into a knockout.
It was a stunning left hand, and Samuels has just been knocked cold by that. In an extraordinary incident, the fight is over.
On August 5th, 1988, John Meekins and Mohamed Kawaya held a duel at Resorts International Atlantic City. At the beginning of the 3rd round, Mohamed gets his opponent with an exact right cross, from which he falls onto one knee and immediately gets up. The referee tried to call a knockdown, but Mohamed unexpectedly adds another blow. The fight continues. Here, Meekins inflicts a crushing swing, causing Mohamed to fall on the floor of the ring. The referee reports a knockdown and continues the fight. John is struggling to finish off the opponent. The referee runs to stop the beating, but John is knocked out himself from blows received. The audience is in shock.
Stopped the bout at 1 minute, 39 seconds of the 3rd round. As he stopped the bout, a punch was thrown over his shoulder. The bout was already over. The winner by TKO from New York City, John Wesley Meekins. Meekins a very fortunate man right now, looking for a title so desperately he almost lost.
Autumn 2012 at the MGM Grand, Las Vegas. A fight took place between WBO World Champion Manny Pacquiao and challenger Timothy Bradley. The first rounds were a close fight.
So far. It's another straight left hand on the Bradley's jaw. Pacquiao, they may have. Another hard left hand by Pacquiao's best puncher. There it is
In the fourth round, Pacquiao sharply accelerated the pace of the fight and managed to shake Bradley. Subsequent rounds passed with the advantage going to the Philippine boxer. In the final rounds, Pacquiao slowed down, and Bradley looked more confident than during the previous segments. At the end of the match, the judges announced a very controversial decision. Two of them scored 115-113 in favor of Bradley. The third judge, 115-113 in favor of Pacquiao. Thus, Bradley took the title from Manny Pacquiao. In 2014, they again converged in revenge, and Manny easily won the match.
And new WBO welterweight champion of the world, the Desert Storm, Timothy Bradley.
September 17th, 2011, MGM Grand, Las Vegas, USA. The WBC welterweight title fight between Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Victor Ortiz. This scandalous duel brought a lot of controversy and ambiguous comments, and the ending of this fight became one of the most high-profile events of that year. Ortiz looked good in the second round, but in general, Floyd controlled the fight. After a head collision in the fourth round, referee Joe Cortez intervened and took a point from Victor for the header. When Ortiz began to apologize, Mayweather knocked him out with 2 punches and took away his WBC welterweight title. Before each fight, the referee Cortez pronounces the phrase, "Protect yourself at all times." According to the referee's notes, Mayweather won every round. At the moment when the referee was removing the point from Ortiz, he did not take the boxers into the neutral corners. Cortez was also looking at the timekeeper when Mayweather knocked out Ortiz, and the timekeeper was looking at the referee.
You were in charge of the fight. You were aggressive and trying and taking advantage of what you saw. You know what I'm gonna do? Because you never give me a face shake. You know that? Someone's gonna let you talk to Victor Ortiz, all right? I'm through. They put somebody else up and give me an interview. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? You never give me a face shake. HBO needs to fire you. You don't know shit about boxing. You ain't shit. You got shit. I wish I was 50 years younger and I'd kick your ass. You won't do shit.
March 17th, 1990. 2 undefeated boxers clashed in a duel. WBC welterweight champion Julio Cesar Chavez and IBF welterweight champion Meldrick Taylor. This is the first time in history that 2 undefeated boxers in the top 5 of the pound-for-pound rankings met each other. The hall greeted the fighters with a roar. It was not just a fight, it was a global event. The audience came to watch the drama, and they weren't disappointed.
Okay, shake hands, good luck. The 2 things to watch right off the bat are...
Chavez had no time to prepare. Taylor was too quick and inventive. It seemed impossible to defeat him.
Taylor lands a vicious right hand.
Taylor worked with a quick series of strikes, and then moved before Julio managed to answer. The Mexican focused on head attacks.
The first thing that Chavez wants to do is block the shot. Again, Jim, this kind of fight, this inside fight...
He endured the Americans' hits, overlapped with coasters, and continued to methodically attack his enemy. Some of Chavez's strikes hit the mark, but there were significantly fewer of them than Taylor's. Still, the American's face began to resemble one solid bruise. Meldrick endured and continued to carry out his plan for the battle. The rounds continued, and each of them brought Taylor closer to triumph. In the 10th round, several of Chavez's strikes landed on target, and Taylor's legs faltered slightly. He was not shocked, but a fracture occurred. The Mexican continued to do his job. Meldrick was wounded. Both his eyes were half closed. His nose, lips, and cheekbones were damaged. He had only to hold out through the last round, and he would become a boxing legend. A minute before the end of the 12th round, Chavez planted a fierce 2 strikes to the head of his enemy. He hit blow after blow, and 30 seconds before the gong, for the first time in the entire match, he rocked Taylor. Chavez took a step to the side and dealt a crushing blow to the right, which the American couldn't see coming. It was a knockdown, 12 seconds before the end of the battle. The referee asked Taylor a simple question: "Are you okay?" Taylor stood up, but did not answer. It was a shock. Julio Cesar Chavez combined the titles and knocked out Meldrick Taylor in a fight that had seemed hopeless mere moments ago.
Because, Meldrick had took a lot of good shots, a lot of hard shots, and it was time for it to stop. I'm not the timekeeper, I don't care about the time. When I see a man that has enough, I'm stopping the fight. And I think that with Richard Steele, the referee, he's a very competent referee, and he was doing what he felt was the best interest of the fighter. There's not much more that needs to be said, Jim.
Thanks for watching. Please press the like button if you enjoyed this video, and subscribe to the channel as well. See you soon.
Tillman now is trying to fight Mike Tyson. He should be doing a lot more movement than he is now. He's allowing Mike Tyson to trap him in the corner.
At the Hail Mary right hand. I know I'm going to land it somewhere here. And Tillman never responded at all to Richard Steele's count.
Good uppercut by Jackson.
Another right hand lands. Body shot almost knocks Lee through the ropes. Jackson's power is simply devastating Lee. And there's a perfect right hand counter off the ropes. And Benji Estevez stops the fight.
I'm thinking that Andy still has the power to come back. Andy, with the big heart that he has, exchanges a right hook for overhand right, and down goes Jackson.
Benji Estevez didn't bother with a count as Jackson lay face down, twitching on the canvas.
And scores it again. The legs of Norton wobble. Norton is hurt in his own corner. Cooney trying to measure him. Misses two uppercuts, but scores with combinations of left hand Norton straight up. Norton is about to drop. Norton is on his knees and finally slumps in the corner. He is not going to get up from this. Now Cooney turns Norton around, and once he does that, he misses those two uppercuts. I think it was the last punch he missed.
Well, Barry, here we see a lot of punches being thrown, and right here, I think the referee should have jumped in. Look at the punches that are being thrown.
Set up by a wide left hook, and the right was right down the middle. Taylor's been keeping his gloves up before he hit the canvas.
Walcott plainly is intent on staying away now. Be careful. That's the right hand, Walcott.
Can Jefferson come back? Can he stay on his feet?
Oh, that's it.
Oh, what a left hook shot. No count necessary.
Went to the body when nothing else was open, and that left hook was just good night.
Because Lumar used to straight up throwing the left hook, and there it was.
And he was hurt, Jefferson.
Yeah, he was hurt.
He was hurt.
Good night, Maurice.
Rockman, if he punches, just keep your hands high. They're telling him not to counterpunch.
Boom! The supporters thought he could have done the Holyfield if he had decided to be more aggressive. With the left hand, by firing aggressively, keeping his left hand in Rockman's face.
Listed as having a reach advantage here. We'll see how he uses it. Tua with a big left hook, and Ruiz in trouble. Tua comes right at him. Another big bomb, and Ruiz is down. This could almost be over now. Quite a bit right there. That had Tyson written all over it, the way it was thrown and everything by Tua. Now he knows he's done the damage here. He comes right in, and before John Ruiz can recover, Tua is all over him. One more right hand, another one in there. And that one...
Devastating it was. Right there. Snap the head.
A left hand. Durant fights off the ropes. Oh, he's out. He's out. He was out before he hit the canvas.
He doesn't know where he is. Now here's the cruncher. There it is. On the button.
Was off balance again. Now gets his feet back and tries to roar back to nail Pacquiao with the right hand.
Oh!
That's another knockdown.
He's not getting up, Jim.
He get up.
He's not getting up when he's coming. And here comes Marquez following with the overhand right. You see that?
Pacquiao missed the right hand.
He knew he was coming. He just caught his rhythm because that's what has scored.
since Sergio Martinez knocked out Paul Williams on November 20, 2010 in Atlantic City.
Throughout the whole fight is that Hurtado's beating Whitaker to his game.
Oh, what a left hand by Whitaker. And he takes advantage with 4 more straight lefts. Arthur McCanny watching. And it's over. It is over.
Helpless there on the ropes. He couldn't escape. And he wasn't returning any fire.
Stopping right there would have been okay. That's okay. That would have done. That would have been nice. I think Arthur would like to have that one back.
Ready for, I'm sure, going to be bigger tests to come this year.
Yeah, I like the idea. I like the idea of that Walsh-Smith fight. That'd be very nice, wouldn't it? Oh, what about that? What about that?
And he hits him as he's on his way down. Yeah, he's out on the first shot, John. The Kempshire got the
Thank goodness. And now the crowd really can celebrate. A devastating finish from Mitchell Smith.
This is probably the tamest round of the entire fight. Not there. There's Perret was blocked again. Griffith blocked him. Perret against the ropes, almost helpless. A minute to go. And they're going to stop it. They're going to stop it as Perret sags to the canvas.
Using every inch.
Oh, what a punch! You'll be able to see that you pack a fair old dig, Julian. No one's ever done that to him before.
I know that. Woo, that was a beauty.
You turned the fight upside down, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely. I know he was very, very confident, you know. He felt that.
Body shots from Froch. Groves trying to probe upstairs. Froch getting the better of it when they meet in the center of the ring now.
Oh, good
and
right
down
hand.
goes Groves. Carl Froch imagined this moment over and over and over these last 7 months. As we said before the fight, a revenge motive for Groves, but a revenge motive for Froch too. As surely as Groves was at rest for a few moments after this right hand. What a shot.
Perfectly timed shot.
Kids, don't keep your left hand on your hip in the middle of an exchange.
He's also looks so much bigger than he does.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a 15-pound weight advantage. Every time he lands a shot, it's abundantly clear. And Benji Esteves isn't going to bother with a count here as Gamash's eyes were closed of the fight. Right uppercut. And you see why we were worried about Joey Gamache well before he hit the canvas. The uppercut was perfect, George.
And not only that, he's getting his whole body into it, like one of those home run hitters throw a baseball.
Good left hand, and down goes Williams.
That was a right hand.
Right hand, Williams through the left, Williams down.
I think we're going to take a look at how it ends.
Yeah.
Williams throws a left, but Martinez beats him with the left.
Shorter punch, yeah, I thought it was a right hook. Shorter punch.
Martinez's left got there first. And Williams was out from the moment the punch hit him.
'17 pro fights, and Morrison has in his 27. Mercer pounding away. Morrison may be going. Morrison is gone.
Right there, I was just trying to get in on him because he was covering up, and he was getting tired, and that's the opening right there over the top, and I hit him, and he tried to grab me and lean, and right there I know I had him. So I just come with all right hands. I just know I had him with that right there.
Ray, when he started lunging, did you try to make him run into your fists?
Yeah, I tried to do it like counter, but coming in at the same time, and it worked. Everything went perfect. I thought the referee let it go a little too far. Yeah. The guy could have been killed right there.
Oh my gosh, what a strike.
Morales.
Take a look at this. Take a look at this.
This is a perfect time.
That was super slow motion.
Yeah, somebody like this since he was at 130 pounds.
Gennady Golovkin, and what would be your strategy? Just swerve Golovkin like the plague, punches like a mule. You don't need to be in with him. Maybe he showed a moment of vulnerability or two. Maybe he tantalized future opponents. But at the end of the day, it's knockout number 20 in a row.
Anytime, anywhere. A simple promise sent out 5 years ago to the middleweight division by boxing's hottest asset.
Big drama show, let's go, let's do it.
A man who had slowly become one of the toughest fighters to matchmake in the entire world. Shunned on his rise through the ranks by the likes of Miguel Cotto, Sergio Martinez, and Felix Sturm. Though, as the cream of the crop danced around him, Gennady Golovkin did the only thing he could: destroy everything in sight.
Indelible images of violence.
Something which, despite there being nothing inherently intimidating about the Kazakh fighter, led him to being recognized by ESPN as the most avoided fighter of all time.
Next, of course, war. Yes, we're ready for anybody.
Stopping a long list of game, solid, and honest fighters with relative ease, his superhuman chin, freakish power, and humble demeanor turned Triple G into a fan favorite overnight. And with his success came the start of an Eastern European resurgence in boxing, one which now looks as promising as ever. This coming weekend, October 5th, we see Golovkin back in action in what may be his last bid for all the belts. So please click thumbs up, subscribe, and press the bell button to be notified of our latest videos, as we narrow down the career of one of today's greatest active fighters. To look at 5 times Gennady Golovkin shocked the boxing world.
It's not just that Golovkin knocks people out, it's the way he knocks people out.
Welcome to a Motivedia presentation. For a man with 350 amateur fights, 41 professional fights, and only a few losses, it's almost impossible to choose just 5 standout nights. Golovkin has continued to make an impact since his American debut, his 24th pro outing, where he knocked out Proska in 5. And from that point on, we began to see a similar trend and similar outcome. 1 year and 4 fights later, Golovkin sent out the ultimate warning beacon when he fought Curtis Stevens at MSG.
I'm going there, do what I do, show everybody that he's not like that. He's not like that, he's overrated. I'm going there and demolish his ass.
Stevens came into the fight with a respectable 25-3 record, posting 18 knockouts of his own. And, much like the rest, he had every belief he could be the first man to strike a question mark against the Kazakh's reputation.
Stevens!
However, in the second round, in a snapshot moment that would personify Triple G's entire career, we saw the American hit the deck. Shocked, bordering disbelief. After a handful of rounds, the fight became increasingly one-sided, continuing to land with precision, power, and applying constant pressure. Until, after a brutal 8th round, the referee had seen enough. Here, humble as ever, Golovkin called out Martinez to step up as his next opponent.
Name 1. Sergio Martinez. These are brilliant. Please, guys, I'm here. I'm staying here.
2 years later, boxing fans were treated to another guaranteed night of fireworks. Gennady had beat another 5 opponents in the meantime, all by knockout, and continued to hunt the division's very best.
They came to see the knockout artist, and they're seeing.
Cue the arrival of Canadian power puncher David Lemieux. Another man who, with 34 wins and 31 knockouts, came to fight fire with fire against the boogeyman.
Triple G has power, but I have very good power also. I'm very confident in my abilities to do whatever I need to do to win this fight.
However, once he felt the blunt force of Triple G's punches, everything seemed to change. Dominant for the offset, Golovkin methodically beat down his opponent in front of another sold-out crowd at the Garden.
How many jabs can you eat before you begin to make bad decisions?
Throwing wildly in the 3rd, Lemieux looked tentative and out of his depth. And down in the 5th, before being put away 3 rounds later, he was put firmly in his place. Much like his other fights, the pundits were left astonished, and again left scratching their head at who could handle the pace, the pressure, and the power of the Kazakh.
I've always felt, and I've said it in interviews before, I feel like Kell Brook is unbeatable. But I didn't say that thinking he'd fight Gennady Golovkin.
By this point, Golovkin's popularity soared as high as any other in the sport. And so next, we go back 3 years to that night at the O2 in London.
And Kell Brook, following the footsteps of fighters like Leonard and Griffith, we're about to see as he goes against Gennady Golovkin.
With a 36-fight unbeaten record to Triple G's 35, Brook was praised from the offset for even taking the fight.
No one in his own weight division wants to fight him, so that's why you have to take into account when you give him Cal the respect to take his fight. No one in the middleweight division wants to fight Gennady Golovkin.
And it was clear why. opened well, landing some big early shots. Though, met with resistance for arguably the first time of his career, Brook caught Golovkin clean in the second, drawing blood. And if not for his chin, he maybe would have taken a half step backwards. However, whilst trading shots, the Brit's eye socket was broken, and so the next 3 rounds spelt disaster. In a night that made the Kazakh's power appear even more frightening, Brook retained his credibility, but not his unbeaten record.
Second round, I understand it's not boxing. I need street fight, just broken.
Despite most of his opponents being reluctant to step up, Golovkin had now found himself amongst the division's elites. And so, another 8 months down the line, it was the turn of another fearless contender, the Miracle Man, Danny Jacobs.
Miracle Man, Daniel Jacobs! No boxing? You know what he brings to the table, you know what I bring to the table? You know this is a can't-miss fight. This is probably one of the best fights that's going to be this year.
Entering as the bigger man, Jacobs was estimated by Kellerman to have been around 180 pounds on the night. Realistically, a legitimate light heavyweight.
I need a win tonight to become a star in the middleweight division.
So, early doors, the American looked relatively comfortable holding his own with Triple G. In the fourth, however, Golovkin landed a short right hand, knocking him down. Whilst Danny was able to effectively switch stances and offer resistance, the ring control and piston-like jab of Golovkin gave him a clear edge. Where people looked to pick holes and claim he was diminishing, Golovkin went 12 for the first time in over 10 years. Doing enough to outpoint Jacobs. A man who, now clearly as ever, stands a solidified world-level fighter. Lastly, what has proven to be the biggest night of the Kazakh's professional career, and one that, even to this day, leaves a few controversial question marks remaining. A couple of years in the making, billed as Supremacy, one of the biggest middleweight spectacles of all time.
Here we are, champion versus champion!
Canelo's fast start and active bursts in the opening minute of each round asserted his position in the fight.
Lovely from Alvarez, that's his specialty, isn't it? Upper body movement.
Though with Golovkin's stiff jab and relentless work rate, he looked to be doing enough to edge it. In a fight that met every expectation, we saw Canelo's slick counters met with Golovkin's power and pressure. And we saw, as Canelo landed an overhand right that has rendered countless opponents unconscious, that Triple G's chin is otherworldly.
114, this is officially a draw!
With a draw, Golovkin made his 19th consecutive defense, just one behind the great Bernard Hopkins. And whilst the result controversially went against him, and Adelaide Bird's outrageous scorecard is still somewhat of a myth, the spectacle and performances on both sides made for an all-time classic. And now, as the second fight favored the Mexican fighter, the fans eagerly anticipate that third and final fight. Alexandros, you expect to have a social life when the house looks like this? Pick up those dirty clothes, wash those dishes, make this dump shine like the top of the Chrysler building. It's got to be clean and classy, just like a Motivedia presentation.